Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of City Skylines, Dakota Falls. In today's episode, we're going to be taking the train back to Rock Springs to complete the downtown and start detailing the city. I'll also be creating some new and unique districts and neighborhoods, as well as establishing some new brands and companies that will help bring the city to life. Later, I'll be building the judicial courthouse for Wahatoya County, helping signify Rock Springs as the judicial seat for the area. I'll be showcasing some great assets in the new distillery district and bringing the streets to life with some custom road names and signs, along with some custom billboards to go along with the new brands and companies that were made for the build. To kick off today's episode, we're heading into downtown to build a historic cemetery next to the church, recommended in the comments of a previous video by a fellow YouTuber and City Skylines fan, Eckhart Slatter. I'm a big fan of reading all the comments y'all leave below whenever I post these videos, and I do really try to incorporate any feedback that I think makes sense or that I think will make the series more enjoyable. So definitely please keep leaving comments below and suggestions for the build. Not only does it help my channel, but your suggestions very likely could make it into a future episode. Downtown Rock Springs is also where you'll find a bustling entertainment and nightlife district known as the Distillery District. With half a dozen restaurants and 3 distilleries on just 3 short blocks. I base this area loosely off of East 4th Street in Cleveland, Ohio, but I didn't make it a pedestrian street because the main street in the city was already pedestrianized, and let's be honest, having one single fully pedestrianized street in American City is a blessing. 2 is just kind of unheard of. But it's possible that in the future a new mayor may come along and embrace more road diets, removing cars from select streets in Rock Springs and leading to a more walkable city. Last episode, I asked for feedback in the comments if I should go with the PL42 AC locomotive for my commuter rail in Dakota Falls, or if I should go with electrified rail like the Silverliner 4s, which are pretty similar to the Silverliner 5 seen in RTD for Denver. I got a lot of great feedback from that question, and I actually decided to switch things up a bit, and I decided for the commuter rail going out into the mountains to actually go with this F40PH locomotive. And while I was researching the F40PH in Colorado, I was really inspired by these Rio Grande ski trains that used to take people from Union Station in Denver all the way out into the mountains. And I just thought that was a really cool concept. Even though it's no longer in service, I thought that going with a livery design that was somewhat reminiscent of this would be really cool for the Dakota Falls series in the future. I also plan to still continue with electrified commuter rail later on, a sort of interurban style that you'd maybe see like in the South Shore line in Chicago, or even similar to what you see in RTD in Denver, but a little bit more of an extensive network into the suburbs of Dakota Falls. So stay tuned for more about that later. Up next, we're developing on the corner of Aspen Avenue and Rock Springs Boulevard. And since this is such a busy corner, I wanted to zone this area as commercial. And from one of my recent videos, I got the suggestion to make a movie theater. So I decided to take that advice and place down an AMC movie theater along with some strip mall assets here because I felt they fit in well with this area, and I honestly wasn't sure how else to really develop this really steep plot of land in the middle of Rock Springs. In order to add just a little bit more detail to this movie theater, I'm going to take some Gilded Age assets along with some table props and window and door props to create some fake restaurants on the side of the movie theater here. Capping off the distillery district here on Barley Ave, I'm placing this House of Blues asset by Gilded Age, and this is from Cleveland, Ohio, so a little bit of a callback to my inspiration from East 4th Street in Cleveland for this little district. To give a bit of additional background for Rock Springs is the largest city in Wahatoya County, and during the 1960s, this city became kind of a hub for the civil rights movement for Mexican Americans and Aboriginal Americans, and immigrants seeking representation and protesting against discrimination and lack of opportunities. Alongside being known for the prestigious law school of the nearby Jackson University Rock Springs, the city developed in sort of a legal hub as well. And because of that, you saw a lot of law offices open up around the city to attract the local graduates in town. And that includes this modern high-rise office building, which is going to be the tallest building in downtown Rock Springs. And now, with the tallest office in downtown built and the skyline complete, let's head next door to detail these university offices. This is where I'm going to start taking a detour from Boulder and Colorado cities in general. Boulder as a city is generally pretty flat despite being so close to the mountains, and my city is going to differ as it's going to be built into the hillside much more. Now, of course, I want to keep this build based in reality and keep things believable, but I also want to create something new, interesting, and unique here. This episode is where I'm really going to start paving my own way with Rock Springs, and in order to do that, I'm really just working with the terrain that I've been given. And I'm going to be taking some inspiration from parts of the world that have built cities on extreme hills like this. So you might even see some influences from places like San Francisco as I start to develop the hillside of Rock Springs and the downtown here. With the downtown core complete and the skyline finished, let's start detailing around downtown and filling in some of the residential that borders around this new district that we've created. Let's head into a quick time lapse here as I speed build the rest of downtown Rock Springs. As I start to build more into this hillside in Rock Springs, you're going to see a little bit more influence coming from San Francisco and some of the cities that actually build into these steep terrain areas. Colorado, I wasn't able to grab too much influence from because a lot of the cities are built on pretty flat terrain. So I had to look elsewhere to be inspired around this area. So, especially in the next episode, you'll see me take some direct influence from San Francisco and the West Coast to build this area. Where Court Street terminates in downtown Rock Springs, I am planning on building this giant courthouse, which really will help to solidify this city as the district court seat for the entirety of Wahatoya County. For the design of this courthouse, I decided to go with this City Hall asset by Mac Welshman, as it reminded me of the style of the county courthouse scene in Pueblo, Colorado. This was an extremely difficult plot of land to work with. As you can see, the terrain is sloping in two different directions, but I knew that I wanted to have the historic courthouse at the end of the street, as it would create for some really interesting sightlines later on. And the challenging terrain really allowed for this to be a much more interesting build, using different levels of elevation to respect the topography here, while also keeping the build fully accessible and allowing for some nice overlooks into the city. In the next episode, which will cover part 2 of downtown Rock Springs, I'm going to come back and detail this block a little bit more and add some custom brands and street advertisements to really bring this area to life. with the building portion of the video complete, let's head into downtown to start working on some of the finer details in this city. We're going to be adding a lot of detailing props and some custom street signs here that will really help bring the city to life a bit. Finally, as we're wrapping up some of the final touches on detailing in this episode, I'm really excited to introduce one of the first custom brands for the series. This is Sagebrush Brewing. And like I said, this is just one of the first of many brands that we're going to be bringing into the Dakota Falls series to help tell a story here. I created the logo and the name for this company, and Blue Thunder is actually responsible for this really awesome can design, which really brings this product to life. And with Sagebrush Brewing Company firmly establishing their headquarters in Rock Springs now, keep an eye out for logos from their company and many more custom brands in the future of Rock Springs. And if you've got recommendations for brands or companies, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. With that being said, stick around because on top of the usual ending cinematics for this video, I'm going to give you a quick preview for what's coming up next. And this next episode is one that you're definitely not going to want to miss. In the next episode, on top of detailing Rock Springs downtown even further and introducing some cool new parks and some new districts, we're also going to be introducing some new service vehicles, courtesy of asset creators Blue Thunder, Apollon Driver, and Alex. always like to do at the end of these videos, I want to give a big thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon for helping me be able to sit down and create cities in my spare time for you all. I also want to give a big thank you to anyone who watched the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of City Skylines, Dakota Falls.